amazing sensory thing. My nephew has an incredible ability with amazing sense of smell. He just has a lot of different things. So I'm a school psychologist. If you have your child when they get school age and they would might need some help in a school setting, you would ask for assessment, and I'd be one of the people that would do that assessment and try to figure out how best we could try to accommodate you in the classroom that would best meet your child.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I've never used a microphone before. Is that okay? Is it too loud? Okay. I'm one of those people, I hate talking in front of other people, even though I'm a speech therapist, and I should be better at this, but I'm not, so I'm sorry. Is there something you wanted me to repeat? Okay, okay. So that's really all I had to share. I love working with children. I don't know. I know lots of computer programs. The assistive technology? Okay, sorry. So right now I am being certified through the local planning agency on assistive technology, and that can include anything from speech generating devices to a picture exchange communication system like PECS that we've talked about a couple times today. Whatever your student needs to be successful, basically, is what we will try to identify and help them with. And just to backtrack a little bit, speech services, that can mean a lot of different things in the school. It could be articulation or speech sound production. So for the child that says tact instead of cat. It can be helping to develop communication, starting with PECS or sign language. It could be just language concepts, the children that don't know colors or animals. It could be stuttering. So there are a wide variety of things that we work on in these schools.
Good afternoon, happy Sunday. My name is Melinda Hayes, and I am an educational specialist at Lower Lake Elementary School. The first time I met a child with autism was when I was a substitute teacher almost 10 years ago in Southern California, close to where Brian's from. It was in Huntington Beach. And I walked into the room, this was my first assignment too. So I walked into the room and the child was very distraught. And my first question was, the first question from the teaching assistant was, "Are you staying?" And my first question was, I wanted to know what was going on in that child's head. I became very intrigued with autism, and that became my passion. And after I served as a substitute there for 4 years, I went to the UK, did a master's in autism in the UK, and I was working on a PhD, came back to Lake County at the time of the fire, when the Valley Fire happened. Yes, just in time, and I've been working with children aged 3 through 8, a lot of autism, but with other moderate to severe needs as well. And I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Moria Gallagher. I'm an occupational therapist. You can probably tell I'm from Minnesota. My voice will give it away. So what does an occupational therapist do? Number one, people don't understand their title. And the thing to remember about OT is it's about function. And we look at that in a hospital on somebody who maybe has broken, people who have limb surgery, like a new knee or new hip, that function, how does that person put on their socks again? How do they get dressed again? So that is function for an adult in that specific area. We, actually, my husband, Bill Gallagher, and I are both occupational therapists, and we met on a psych ward. And so on the psych ward, we weren't patients. Is how is that person going to function within their environment? What kinds of things can they do to help them within the world? So function's a big thing. So when an occupational therapist works in a school, what we're looking at is how is that student going to be able to function within their classroom? How are they going to be able to pay attention and get work done and create writing? And what we know for people with autism is autism and sensory processing disorder go together. And so what we can offer is support in the area of sensory integration and in handwriting, because so often those go together as well. So basically that's our role. Sometimes students are told and are given sensory integrative activities, and then once they get to a place where they can understand what to do in the classroom, then they go back in, then we work with them back in the classroom. Two things I want you to be aware of, because I think that they're really helpful, and you'll hear more about them, is there are two ways to teach people to self-regulate. And self-regulation can be for your behavior, it can be for, depression, but it also can be how to regulate your nervous system because you have sensory processing disorder. So self-regulation, two programs that are used are the ENGINE program, and the ENGINE program teaches a student, is your engine too high? Is it a little too hyper? Is your engine too low or you just can't get it together? Or is it just right? And that's a great tool to use with kids who are around 7 to 9. When they get a little older, I like the zones of regulation, and both of these programs were invented by occupational therapists. Zones of regulation is you're in the green zone, life is good, you're just right. You're in the blue zone, you're tired, you're sick, you just can't quite figure out what to do with yourself. You're in the yellow zone, you're getting a little too hyper, you're getting a little too upset, and red is when you explode. So, knowing where your zone is, what kinds of things can you do to change that? So that's our goal, is to teach the student what they can do. And the one thing I want you to really think about is when kids are having a really hard time, it's not a temper tantrum, it's a meltdown. Their nervous system is letting them down, and there are things we can do. One of the things we can do is, I have a little one who's, 5, and she doesn't have a calm state. She has one speed, and it's high. But the other day, she had something to look at, and it's oil, and it's water, and it drips little bubbles, and it's like, gosh, she calmed down. And she calmed down for a few minutes, that's a start. So there are things like that. When the child is older, people love this. I say cinnamon, sour, peppermint. You can do it with smells, and you can do it with candy, you can do it with gum. Preferably gum, because when we do heavy work, pushing, pulling, running, swinging, all of those things we call heavy work, help the body to be integrated and help the brain to learn. So those are great ways of helping students, and they really like it when I suggest that it might be candy or gum. No, we teach very carefully how to use candy and gum, and that you can't have too much of it and what to do with it when you're done. But there are all kinds of things that can help a person's sensory system to be just right for learning and doing homework and going out to the store. So that's basically in a nutshell what we do. I wanted Bill to be able to talk about the sensory profile, which is how we determine what we're going to do, and then there's a question.
I'm Bill Gallagher. I've been involved in occupational therapy for over 40 years. You can probably tell by my gray hair that I'm not a newbie to this. Let me explain where the name occupational therapy comes from, so that you might understand better. And we've never changed it. We've had to explain it and apologize for it for all those years. But after World War I, occupational therapy began to retrain the veteran back into their occupations and fill their role in society again. There wasn't even physical therapy then, which I'm always proud of. But that's where it gets its name. So it has never changed that. So we talk about occupation, as my wife is saying. Your child's occupation is to play and be students and learn. Mine now is to do something like work with kids. But I'll give you perspective, a personal one. I'm left-handed. I had learning disabilities as a child. My parents were told I was brain damaged or crazy. I was told I didn't go to college. I have a master's degree. So keep perspectives of these things because things can improve. We have a daughter who is high functioning autism on the spectrum. And she's married and has a 2-year-old child. She's not doing typically too well right now, but I mean, she and her husband are separated, so we're here and they're living in our house. Our son failed to launch too, so we left home. It's true. They wouldn't leave, so here we are in California, 2,000 miles away. So anyway, my interest has always been neurology because I started out working with people who had suffered strokes, spinal cord injuries, and head injuries. I taught people who were phasing how to do things again, how to dress themselves, left hemiplegic, right hemiplegic, how to dress with one hand, how to put this clothes on again. I did groups, and yes, we used arts and crafts, and we used activities like playing today, as opposed to physical therapy, which is into weights and stuff, because we've always kept that occupational kind of perspective, a functional perspective, and sometimes you can't get somebody into a factory and work with them directly there, so you try to do what you can with what you have in front of you. My wife wants me to go on. I'm the only Irish one. The Blarneys don't kiss back. But we do a sensory profile, and that's what my interest in neurology and the brain comes in too, because we all have a nervous system and we all process senses differently. Right now, I'm in a big room with people looking at me, so maybe I'm a little excited, and my threshold is being aroused to a point where I'm nervous. But if I was home in my own place, I would be calm. So the profile that we hand out to students' parents both has a caregiver profile because the environment and how we're reacting to the things that are in those environments, the activity or whatever. And the question is a lot of responses that the child may need to different things. So it puts the two profiles together and gives you a kind of, and teacher profile. The second one is a teacher profile. So you get the idea of both how the child is progressing in both their home and at home and at school. And then we try to put together recommendations in our assessment that might help the children in both environments.